Hare Krishna. We welcome everyone for the Narsimha Nirajanam sessions, which are being conducted for the welfare of all the society during this current pandemic period. And we are currently reading Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto. And we are into now 6th chapter. So we have completed 5 chapters and we have done the part 1 of 6th chapter yesterday. And today we are going to see the second chapter or second part of 6th chapter. Before that, we will just recite the Mangala Charana prayers. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Chavakshashi Yasyaste Hridayi Samved Tam Nrsimhamaham Bhaje Ekena Chakramaparena Karena Shankam Anyena Sindhutanayamavalamvya Tishtan Vame Tarena Varada Bhayapadmachihnan Lakshmi Nrsimha Mahadevi Karahalambam Ugram Vairam Mahavishnam Jwalantam Sarvatomukham Nrsimham Vishanam Bhadram Mrityor Mrityum Namamyaham Prahlada Narada Parashara Pundarika Vyasadi Bhagavata Prungavahrinnivasa Bhaktanurta Paripalana Parijata Lakshmi Nrsimha Mamadehi Karavalambam. So we are discussing about Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7. Canto 7 is divided into 2 sections, the story of Prahlada and Varnashrama Dharma. As we are reading the 6th chapter, we'll have a quick overview of what were the previous chapters. In the preface, we have seen what is the story of Jaya and Vijaya and how they were cursed by the 4 Chatus Kumaras, and later how Lord Varaha has killed Hiranyaksh, and this made Hiranyakashipu enemical towards him, and he tortured everyone with his austerity. And later, the 3rd chapter revolves around Hiranyakashipu's austerity and the boon he gets from Lord Brahma. Later, it has been explained about the birth of Prahlad Maharaj. In the second section, that is devotional service, we have seen the chapter number 5, Prahlada's devotion. So basically, what were the 2 questions which were asked by Hiranyakashipu, and to that what Prahlada replied. So Prahlada replied about Bhakti Yoga, and he said, give up your family life and surrender to the Supreme Soul. And again, when he was sent back, he trained in Dharma, Artha and Kama. And again, whenever he came back, Hiranyakashipu asked the same question. What did you learn? What is the best thing you learned from your teachers? So he said, Shravana Kirtana, Smarana, Vandana, Pada Sevana, Archa. So he has given that Navavida Bhakti process, that this is the best thing. And now, after explaining all these things, Shanda and Amarka says, okay, so we will train him more. Maybe once Shukracharya is back, his instructions might influence on Prahlad. So here, Hiranyakashipu sends back Prahlad to the Gurukul, and when the teachers are not around, the boys, the demonic boys who were there in the school, they take association of Prahlad and they begin instructions from him. So that is what 6th chapter is all about. 6th chapter, titled as Prahlada instructs to his demonic schoolmates. And the summary of chapters, yesterday's chapter, which is the part 1 of chapter 6, is Prahlada explains the human form is very rare, and right from childhood one should perform devotional service. So basically, whenever one is at the childhood age, 0 to 5 years, he should start understanding, he should start experiencing the devotional service which the parents are doing. And later, from 5 to say after 5 years, he should start beginning practicing the devotional service. So it is said Kaumaram Acharit Prajnau. And we will move ahead. Material happiness can be obtained by any species without endeavor. It is superior arrangement. Prahlada explained like what is the importance of taking a human life. There are 84 lakh species, out of which human being is one of the category. So this material happiness, what human being is trying to acquire in this material world, can be obtained by any of the species. And any of the species without any endeavor, we do a lot of endeavor to acquire this, but dogs, cats, they don't do any endeavor, but they still experience the same pleasure. But how is it happening? It is happening by superior arrangement. That is what it said. And later it is said, an intelligent person will endeavor for the highest goal of life as long as the body is strong. So if your body gets invalid, you will be not be able to do the devotional service. So better whenever your body is strong and stout, you get that endeavor and get the perfection. And Prahlada goes on saying, human life is misused. How? So 50 years of sleep, 20 years in boyhood and youth, 20 years in old age and invalidity, and remaining in family attachment. And it is said, an attached householder with uncontrolled senses is bound strongly by the ropes of affection. So if a householder who is attached or who is surrendered to his senses, it is like he is strongly bound by the ropes of affection. And later, Prahlad Maharaj explained how one's family is dear. Wife, children, parents, daughter, household furniture, pets, and animals. So these are all very, very dear to him. How one can give up this kind of family life? And absorption in family maintenance leads to, so it is one, if one is absorbed in the family maintenance, what exactly it happens? The lifespan is exhausted. The real purpose of life is defeated and there is no benefit in the results. Prahlad Maharaj gives an analogy like how a cocoon builds how a silkworm builds its cocoon. So it starts building from outside, it goes on, it builds into inside, and at last it will not be able to survive because it has built the cocoon around itself and now it is not able to come out of it. Similarly, a householder gets attached to his family, friends, parents, everything. Now with that, he is not at all able to get out of this material life. So this is what we have discussed in part 1. Now we will see what is there in this part 2 of chapter 6, and we will be continuing the section 2. We'll start from the 16th verse. Vidvana pittam danuja kutumbam pumsan swalokyana kalpate vai yah sviya parakya vibhinna bhavas tamah prapadyeta yata vimudaha. O my friends, son of demons, in this material world, even those who are apparently advanced in education have the propensity to consider this is mine and that is for others. Thus, they are always engaged in providing the necessities of life to their families in a limited conception of family life. Just like uneducated cats and dogs, they are unable to take spiritual knowledge. Instead, they are bewildered and overcome by ignorance. So what is he saying? In this material world, who is advanced in education still consider that this is mine and that is yours. So they are still under the impression of the dualities. And after engaging their necessities of life to their families, so they will be providing a comfortable life to their families. But at last, what happens? Neither they are able to progress in devotion, neither they are provide opportunity for their family to progress in devotional service. Now, who is to be considered an advanced? The real Vidwan is one who tries to understand his own position within this material world. So if one is trying to understand who is he, where is he from, that person is called as Vidwan. So a advanced educated person, so he needs to solve a problem which is the root cause, not which is a temporary one. And more than education, character building is important. If one's character is not built, but is advanced in education, he can destroy the whole generation, as we can see in the current pandemic period. So it is said that this pandemic is a man-made disaster, and we can see even how all the eatables are getting impure. So now we have a condition where we cannot even get anything pure or organic. So because the advancement of technology is there, they try to get the things ripened quickly, or they try to get the things procured quickly. So with the education, education is like a knife. So if the knife is in a doctor's hand, it will be useful. But if a knife is in a thief's hand, he can kill the entire uh, people around him. So knife is the same thing, but who is using that makes how makes the usage of it better. Similarly, education is the right thing, but before that, character building is more important. If not, he will destroy the whole generation. As far as devotee is considered, he will not have this me and mine concept, and he is the well-wisher of all living entities. We'll move ahead with the next verse. Yeto na kasched kvachakutchidva dina swamatmanamalam samardha vimochitum kama drisham vihara krida mrugoyan nigado visargaha. My dear friends, O son of demons, it is certain that no one bereft of knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been able to liberate himself from the material bondage at any time or in any country. So it is saying, if one is bereft of the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead, he will not be able to liberate himself, nor in the past, not in the current time, not in future. So any time he will not be able to liberate, or in any country. Will proceed. Rather, those bereft of knowledge of the Lord are bound by the material laws. They are factually addicted to sense gratification, and their target is woman. Indeed, they are actually playthings in the hands of attractive women, victimized by such conception of life. They become surrounded by children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and thus they are shackled to material bondage. Those who are very much addicted to this conception of life are called demons. So here, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, one is getting addicted to sense gratification, and he gets victimized by his conception of life. He thinks that his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, so he gets attached to that more and more, and he gets materially bondage. So those who are very much attached to this conception of life are called demons. Now, let us see whether do we have any reference what Prahlad is saying, because in the previous verse, Prahlad was saying Kamadrisham. So because of their lust. Let us see from Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 336, Arjuna had asked a question. Atakena prayukto yam papam charati purushaha anicham api varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what one is impelled to do sinful acts, even unwillingly as if engaged by force. So here he is asking, why is a living entity even knowing does a sinful act? Who is that force is driving him to perform the sinful acts, even unwillingly? Lord Krishna replies, saying, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamaesha Krodhaesha Rajo Gunasamudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyenam Ihavairinam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion, and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So Krishna is saying, it is lust only. So what is the Arjuna's question? Why does one do sinful activities? Krishna says, it is due to lust. Prahlad Maharaj also quotes the same thing. Now, we have seen many verses where how a householder gets attached to his family life and gets more and more materially bounded. Now, what is the solution to come out of this family engagement? Prahlad Maharaj explains, Tato vidurat parihritya daitya daityeshu sangam vishayatmakeshu upeta narayanamadidevam samukta sangai rishitopavargaha. Although you are the sons of demons, keep aloof from such persons and take shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, the origin of all demigods, because he is the ultimate goal for the devotees of Narayana is the liberation from the bondage of material existence. So here he's saying, you keep aloof yourself from such persons. Who are those persons? Who are materially bounded and who are materially attached to their household things, household family, household attachment. And what is he saying? You give up or you keep aloof from them and take the shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, what is one need to understand here? It is one's duty is to revive one's relationship with Narayana. A slight endeavor in this direction will make the attempt successful, whereas one will never be successful in pleasing his so-called family, society, nation, even if one endeavors to sacrifice his life. Now, let us see. So till now, Prahlad Maharaj has given us many verses saying how a householder is attached to the family life and is not able to identify the path for realization. So there is a beautiful verse composed by Sripad Adi Sankaracharya in his Guru Ashtakam, which summarizes this entire Prahlada's teachings. What it says, Shariram surupam tatava kalatram yashascharu chitram dhanam merutulya manaschena lagnam gurorangi padme tatah kim tatah kim tatah kim tatah kim. So here Adi Shankaracharya is telling Shariram surupam. So even if you have a very pretty body, tatava kalatram, a beautiful wife or a husband, Yashascharu Chitram, you might have a fame which is very great. Dhanam Merutulyam, you might have a money which is like a mountain. Manaschena Lagnam Guru Rangi Padmam, he says, if your mind does not concern or does not centered at the Guru's feet, then what is the use? What is the use and what is the use? So it very much aptly summarizes what Prahlad Maharaj has said. So now we will move on to next section. So as all great acharyas teach, one need to find a guru, understand the absolute truth and get rid of this material world as quickly as possible. Now we will see what are the instructions on worshipping the Supreme Lord. So from verse number 19 to 26, Prahlad Maharaj explains. Nahyachyutam prenayato bahva yaso suratmajaha atmavat sarva bhutanam siddhatvadiha sarvataha. My dear sons of demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana is the original superior super soul, the father of all living entities. Consequently, there are no impediments to pleasing him or worshipping him under any conditions. Whether one be a child or an old man, the relationship between the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always a fact, and there is no difficulty in pleasing the Lord. What Prahlad Maharaj is trying to say here, in the first statement, he's saying that Supreme Lord Narayana is the father of all living entities. And later he is saying, so in order to please him, there is no difficulty. So he's saying there are no impediments in order to please him. So we'll see any references. Are there any references to support these statements? Yes. So from Bhagavad Gita 14.4 we have where it says the father of all living entities. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha tasam brahma mahadhyonir aham bija pradah pita. So it should be understood that all the species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. So one should understand that Lord Krishna is the father of all living entities. Where he's saying? He's saying, Aham Bija Prajapita, I am the seed giving father. So from the scriptures, we can understand that Mahavishnu is emanating all the Brahmandas from his pores whenever he is breathing out. And whenever he is breathing in, all the Brahmandas go inside the body of Mahavishnu. And each of the universe, we have Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and he creates Brahma, who is a secondary creator, creates all the planets and all the living entities. So here, if we understand, Brahma is created by Garbhodakshai Vishnu is created by Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu is an expansion of Lord Krishna. So Krishna is the father of all living entities. And there is no difficulty in pleasing the Lord, where it is said, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachyati tadaham bhakti upahkritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. So if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So what is the difficulty in offering this? So even if you are in midst of the desert, you can find some or the other thing which we cannot. You go to the forest, you will find a fruit, or you'll find a flower. Where is the difficulty in pleasing the Lord? And Lord is saying, I will not take it. I will not just take it. He's saying Ashnami. It literally means I will eat it. So in order to please the Lord, there is no difficulty. But based on this verse, one should not take the advantage. But based on one's own capability, he should please the Lord. So we'll see a few examples. One is the fruit vendor. When Krishna was asking when Krishna was asking for fruits, this fruit vendor asked, give me something. In return, I'll give fruits. And Krishna got some palmful of grains. So there were only 4 or 5 grains because Krishna was very small and he was traveling from long place carrying those. So with that 4 or 5 grains, this fruit vendor has accepted and given handful of fruits to Krishna. But what it resulted in? It resulted in turning the fruits of entire basket into jewels, necklaces, and valuable items. So this is one example where a simple thing will please the Lord. And we see Sudama example. So what he got to please the Lord? He had just a handful of chipped rice. So that with that Lord, so Sudama was even hiding that, because this is not the thing which I need to give to Krishna, but Krishna grabbed it and had it. So we need to understand that it is very easy to please the Lord. Only thing is we need to have love and we need to have devotion. So one more thing we need to understand here is, if you try to become a Lord, or if you try to become a servant of the Supreme Lord, Lord will also become your servant. That is what we can see, because he is washing the feet of the Sudama. So we'll move forward. Paravareshu bhuteshu brahmanantastaavaradishu bhautikeshu vikareshu bhuteshvata mahatsucha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller, who is infallible and indefatigable, is present in different forms of life, from the inert living beings, Tavara, such as planets, to Brahma, the foremost created living entity. He is also present in varieties of material creations and in the material elements. So let us see, is he really there in all the living entities? So there are references. And from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, chapter 10, verse number 20, Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutasya Stitaha. I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in all hearts of all the living entities. So, Sarva Bhutashaya Stitaha, he is saying, I am situated in hearts of all the living entities. And in chapter 10, verse number 39, Krishna says, Yachapi sarva bhutanam bijam tad ahamarjuna न तद् अस्ति विनाश्यत्स्यान् maya bhutam characharam. So furthermore, he explains, "O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me." So here also Krishna says that he is the seed for all the existence. So whatever here is mentioned, now we can understand in these two verses. And we will move forward. गुणेषु गुणसाम्ये च गुणव्यतिकरे ततः एक एव परो ह्यात्मा भगवान् ईश्वरो व्ययः. He is also present in varieties of material creations and in material elements, the total material energy and the modes of material nature, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna, as well as the unmanifested material nature and the false ego. Although he is one, he is present everywhere, and he is also the transcendental supersoul, the cause of all causes, who is present as the observer in the course of thoughts of all living entities. So we'll try to see like where exactly it is mentioned for the three modes are under the control of Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita 3:27, Krishna says, "Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate." The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. So here it is said that the influence of the three modes of material nature is made one to think that he is doing that activity. But actually, it is being carried out by nature, Prakriti, which is under the control or under the supervision of Supreme Lord Krishna. Pratyak Atmaswarupena Drishya Rupena cha Swayam Vyapya Vyapaka Nirdeshyo Hyanirdeshyo Vikalpitaha. Although he is one, he is present everywhere, and he is also the transcendental super soul, the cause of all causes, who is present as the observer in the course of hearts of all living entities. He is indicated that which is pervaded and as the all-pervading super soul. But actually he cannot be indicated. He is changeless and undivided. How to understand this? It is saying he is one, but he is present everywhere. So how to understand this? We need to see what are the forms of the Lord. Lord is present in three features. One is Brahman realization. So it is said in Bhagavad Gita 9.4, Maya tadamidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. So avyakta murtina is unmanifested form. That means the Brahman realization. So it says, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. So all this universe is pervaded by the Brahman feature of the Lord. We can understand it as a sun rays pervading everywhere. Similarly, Lord's form is pervaded everywhere. Next level of realization, the higher level of realization is Paramatma realization. What is it? In Bhagavad Gita 15:15, it said, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. It said the Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart. So this is a higher kind of realization. So in Brahman realization, there is no conception of like Lord is not having any form. The conception is Lord does not have form. But in Paramatma realization, they have like Supreme Lord, he has a form and is situated as Paramatma in one's heart. And there is one more feature, which is Bhagavan realization. Etecham sakala pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So here in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 28, it is said, all the lists of the incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary expansions or the parts of plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So in this chapter, it has various incarnations of the Supreme Lord are explained. And it is said all those incarnations are only plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions. But here it is said, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So by this we can understand Brahman realization, where people will understand that God doesn't have any form. Second realization is Paramatma realization, where one understands that God has form, but he is sitting in one's own heart. And Bhagavan realization, one will understand that God is the supreme person. He is the creator of everything. So he is the God himself. We'll move forward. Kevalanubhavananda Swarupa Parameshwaraha Mayayantarhitaiswarya Iyate Gunasargaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller who is infallible. Okay, this we have read. We are in the last but one line. He is simply perceived as the Supreme Sachidananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Being covered by the curtain of external energy, to atheist, he appears non-existent. What it is said here? It is said the Supreme Lord is Sach Chit Ananda. He has eternal form. He is full of knowledge. He is blissful, eternal. And we are covered by the curtain. What is that curtain? Krishna says it is that Maya, the external energy, which is the Maya, as Durga Devi. And for atheists, because of this curtain which is there, they think that there is no God. So we will again see the references where the God is referred as cause of all causes and is referred as Sachidananda. From Brahma Samhita 5.1. So Brahma Samhita is the prayers which Lord Brahma has spoken to Lord Krishna. So Lord Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. He says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. So people who said that God does not have any form, so this verse just strikes out that concept. It is said God has eternal, blissful, and spiritual body, Sachidananda Vigraha, and he is Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the prime cause of all causes. And he appears non-existent to the atheist. So basically, I think this verse is out of context. So where exactly in Bhagavad Gita it says is Modo Yamna Bijanati. So the fools cannot understand when Lord comes as himself into this world. So there it is said, it appears non-existent. So Mudas cannot understand. Tasmat Sarveshu Bhuteshu Dayam Kurutah Sauhrudam Bhavam Masuram Mutsya Yaya Tustatya Jokshajaha. Therefore, my dear young friends born of demons, please act in such a way that the Supreme Lord, who is beyond the conception of material knowledge, will be satisfied. Give up your demonic nature and act without enmity or duality. Show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service, thus becoming their well-wishers. So what here is saying, Prahlad Maharaja, he is saying all the demonic friends to be preachers. See, in the last statement, what it is said, he is saying, show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service. This is exactly what Prahlad Maharaja is doing right now. He is trying to enlighten the demonic friends. So he is saying that Supreme Lord is beyond the conception of material knowledge. So by this, he will be satisfied. Tushte chatatra kimalabhyamananta adye kimtae gunavyatikara ihaye swasiddha dharmadayah kimagunena chakankshitena saram jusham charanayo upagayatam naha. So nothing is unobtainable for the devotees who have satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes, the original source of everything. So it is said, for devotees, nothing is obtainable. They can obtain whatever they want, because if Supreme Personality is pleased, he is the cause of all cases. The right example for this is the Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, he started his journey for a material thing. So he wanted to a place where he want to sit. So because he was not allowed to sit on his father's lap, he want to sit on a higher position. And he started, or his mother suggested him to go and worship Narayana in the forest. But by the association of Narada in the journey, he started, or he downloaded that spiritual knowledge from him. And at that point, what he did a severe austerity by which Lord Vishnu is pleased, and he got a loka which is called as Dhruva Loka, which is best out of all the lokas, which is higher than the Brahma Loka. So it is a apt example which says nothing is unobtainable for devotees. And next it says, the Lord is the reservoir for unlimited spiritual qualities. For devotees, therefore, who are transcendent to the modes of material nature, what is the use of following the principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, which are all automatically obtained under the influence of modes of nature? We devotees always glorify the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, we need not ask anything in terms of dharma, kama, artha, and moksha. Here, Prahlad Maharaj is simply saying devotees are transcendental to the modes of material nature. There is no point of asking for dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So, Bilva Mangal Thakura, a great Vaishnava saint, has said, Mukti Swayam Mukutanjali Sevate Sman Dharmartha Kama Gataya Sama Pratiksha Samya Pratiksha. Liberation always stands at the door of a devotee, ready to carry out his orders. Material advancement in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation simply wait to serve a devotee as the first opportunity. So here, the devotee does not care about dharma, kama, artha, moksha, but these all four things stand at the door of a devotee and are ready to carry out his orders. So if one becomes a devotee, everything will get aligned automatically. Dharmardhakam, dharmardhakama itiyo bihitastri varga, iksha trayi nayadhamao, nayadhamao vividha cha varta, manye tadetakilam nigamasya satyam, swatmarpanam swasuhrudah paramasya pumsaha. Religion, economic development, and sense gratification. These are described in Vedas as three varga, or three ways to salvation. Within these three categories are education and self-realization. Ritualistic ceremonies performed according to the Vedic injunction, logic, the science of law and order, and various means of earning one's livelihood. These are the external subject matters of study in the Vedas. Therefore, I consider them as material. However, I consider the surrender to lotus feet of the Lord Vishnu to be transcendental. So here, Prahlad Maharaj saying the three things which is mentioned is Vedas as three varga. These three categories are there for salvation. Now, what he's saying that according to Vedic injunction, people will perform ceremonies and they will get various means of earning this livelihood. But because these are all related to material things, they are external subjects. So whatever one wants, they will perform that sacrifice, get the material benefits. But that is not the highest thing what one needs to take out from the Vedas. So therefore, he is considered them as material. However, he is thinking that, or he says that surrendering to the lotus feet of the Lord Vishnu to be transcendental. So how to understand this? So a few Acharya has given an example, like if there is a river passing around, one will take the water. So they will try to, if you want the water for drinking, they will not take at the bank of that river. They will try to go little bit inside where they will see the clean water. They will try to just move the water around so that the dust is moved around, and later they will pick the water. Similarly, Vedas is having all the components, whatever is required for the sustenance of this material creation. But a devotee doesn't care for these material things. He will just keep all the material things aside, and he will only check what is the thing which is giving me mukti, or what is the thing which is which will elevate me in Krishna consciousness, how I can love, how I can serve the Supreme Lord. So these are the primary subject of matters for devotees, and all the remaining things to please oneself, to please family, to please the society are external subject matters. Are there any references? In Bhagavad Gita 2.42, Krishna says, Ya imam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitaha vedavadarata parda nanyat astiti vadinaha. So men of small knowledge are very much attached to these flowery words of Vedas, which recommend various protective activities for elevation to high heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So what it is said, the people who are less intelligent will get attracted towards the flowery words of Vedas. And there are innumerable sacrifices which are mentioned in the Vedas. And by getting the desired results, they will get elevated to the heavenly planets, because they are according to the scriptures, but that they are getting to elevated to heavenly planets. And it also results in good birth, power, so forth, because they have done something which is in accordance to scriptures. But because it is not the highest thing, they will not get liberation. They will still continue this birth, death, old age, and disease. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, because if one takes a good birth or in a powerful family, he will have a lot of opportunity for the sense gratification, and he might never turn back to the devotional service. So one should be very careful of current life and try to close this as soon as possible and go back to Godhead. Now, the instructions on the worshipping Supreme Lord are completed. And the next 3 verses, Prahlada concludes and his classmates inquire from him. Jnanam tadetadamalam turavapamaha narayano narashakai kila naradaya ekantinam bhagavatas tadakinchananam padaravinda rajasa plutadehinam syat. Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the well-wisher and the friend of all living entities, formally explained this transcendental knowledge to the great Saint Narada. Such knowledge is extremely difficult to understand without the mercy of saintly person like Narada. But everyone who has taken shelter of Narada's disciplic succession can understand this confidential knowledge. So here it is said, this knowledge is not just what Narada concocted. This knowledge is shared to Narada from the Supreme Lord himself. So Lord explained this knowledge to Narada, and Narada explained this knowledge to Prahlada. So it is in the authorized parampara. And it is said, such knowledge is extremely difficult to understand. But if one has a spiritual master, this is the most easy thing to understand. So one should take the shelter of spiritual master to understand this confidential knowledge. Shrutam etanmaya purvam jnanam vijnana samyutam dharmam bhagavatam shuddham narada deva darshanad balasyantah purastasya mahat sango duranvayah chindinah samsayam saumya syached vishrambakaranam. Prahlad Maharaja continued, I received this knowledge from the great Saint Narada Muni, who is always engaged in devotional service. This knowledge, which is called as Bhagavata Dharma, is fully scientific. It is based on logic and philosophy. and is free from all material contaminations. So here Prahlada Maharaj is saying, I have received this knowledge from the great Saint Narada Muni, who is always engaged in devotional service. So one spiritual master should always be engaged in devotional service. Then he'll be eligible for being a spiritual master. And whatever the knowledge which he has acquired is that Bhagavad Dharma is not just a illogical, it is fully scientific. In fact, Krishna says that you need to inquire and take this knowledge from the master. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena. Pariprashnena means asking queries in a humble manner, not in the challenging manner. So it is fully scientific. It is based on logic because there are a lot of case studies which are there in Bhagavatam and various Puranas. And it is free from all material contamination. So the next two verses will be the last two verses of this chapter. So this is the question of the schoolboys. So the demonic schoolboys are asking Prahlad, Sri Daityaputra Uchuhu Prahradatvam vayam chapi nartenyam vidmahe gurum etabhyam guruputrabhyam balanam apihishvaro balasyantah purastasya mahatsango duranvayah chindinah samsayam saumya syached vishrambakaranam. So they are asking, Dear Prahlad, neither you nor we know any teacher or spiritual master other than Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Sukracharya. After all, we are children and they are our controllers. So in simple terms, what they are saying, our teachers are Shanda and Amarka, and we don't know any other teacher. And we are under the control of them. For you, especially who always remain in the palace, it is very difficult to associate with great personality. And they are saying, see, you are a son of a king. And who is that? It is Hiranyakashipu. And we don't think that there will be any association of such great personalities. Now the question starts. Dear friend, oh most gentle one, would you kindly explain how it was possible for you to hear Narada? Kindly dispel our doubts in this regard. So they are asking, how did you learn from this Narada? When did he interacted with you? Please let us know. So this is the chapter of Bhagavatam. So I think this is swapped. It is Canto 7, Chapter 6 of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the summary in the previous chapter or in the previous part we have discussed till this point. Human life is misused by family attachments. In today's session, we have covered these things. It is said that even the learned scholars who are overcome by ignorance, they act like a fool and get absorbed in material affairs. And Prahlad Maharaj explained about the rarity of liberation and solution. What is the solution he suggested? He said, just stay away from them, surrender to the Supreme Lord. And he has given that pleasing the Supreme Lord is very easy if one is getting the instructions from his spiritual master. And the infallible Supreme Lord is present everywhere and other qualities of Lord. So we have seen few examples and references where exactly these have been quoted. And for devotees, nothing is unobtainable if Lord is satisfied. So for devotees, Lord will be satisfied and nothing is obtainable for such people. And he says, surrender to Vishnu's lotus feet. And later Prahlad concludes by saying, Lord Narayana gave this knowledge to Narada Muni and he received this knowledge from Narada Muni. After Prahlada's instructions, his schoolmates ask him, we have only Shanda and Amarka as teachers. How then did you hear from Narada Muni? So based on this question, the next chapter, which is 7th chapter of 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj in detail explains about the teachings he received in the womb of his mother. Om Tat Sat. Sri Krishnarpanamastu. Thank you everyone for joining in. We will connect tomorrow for the next session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama